Welcome to the broadcast. We are back, unfortunately. And I have to say that because it really truly is. But today we're going to have another video on the Karmelo Anthony and Metcalf case. This is after the verdict. And we have more questions and we want answers. And so this is pretty much a continuation of the conversation that we've been having online. Again, our heart goes out to the families, especially the family whose child is no longer with us. We are praying for the families because we all need peace in this situation. But we also need resolution. You can't have peace without the resolution. And it should be fair across the board, if at all possible, if nothing else, equitable. And I think that's what we're trying to pursue here. It's looking kind of sketchy. The more stuff comes to the forefront, the facts of the case, the steps and the procedures and the things that were or were not followed, it's just really looking suspect, unfortunately. You know what I mean? It really truly is. And what it's looking like a cover-up of an incident that could have been avoided, and someone has become the fall guy, unbeknownst to them. And so that's kind of what it's giving at this time. It's giving, I want to blame somebody that doesn't really deserve the blame. And yeah, so let's go. Let's take a deep dive into this. I've been kind of following the bigger platforms that have been covering this. And again, some would say, oh, these are conspiracies and all the things and everything's alleged and blah, blah, blah. And some of that may be true. I mean, some of the content that I've, ingested, if you will, YouTubers that I've been following, some of it has been down a rabbit hole. And then there have been others that, was there from the beginning, eyes, on the scene, witnesses of things. So they're not speaking, secondhand, they're not repeating what they've heard. These people have actually been there from the beginning. So I kind of like those sources. I like those individuals the best. Again, just taking away and stripping the bias and just kind of saying, hey, a matter of fact, like this is what happened. This is what I've seen. This is what I can testify. That's my vibe. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that some of the theories running out there aren't interesting, perhaps, but I think at the end of the day, we want justice. And, what that looks like is it just comes with fairness, you know what I mean? Or some type of equitable situation. And I know that by pursuing that, things are going to get exposed. And it's unfortunate because, again, nobody wins. I wish that folks would have just told the truth from the beginning, and kind of sat in that truth. But it just appears to me as if, there are no consequences and people aren't learning any lessons. And that's the sad and unfortunate part. And the individual that is being demonized right now is unfortunately taking all of the brunt of this. And it just doesn't seem to be fair. It doesn't seem to be equitable at all. I think that everyone has a part to play in this unfortunate event. everyone, I don't believe Karmelo asked for it. And I'm going to use air quotes. He was sitting in a tent that he was invited to, that has been testified and confirmed. No one said that he just came in, he was trespassing, he shouldn't have been there. No one testified of that. So he didn't invite any of the drama, and so, they were told that, they need to find shelter, and again, invited into a shelter. That's where he was. To those that seen the original tape at the Frisco School District, Frisco ISD, testified that he was under the tent for quite some time, meaning I think he was under there for at least about 9 minutes before the incident occurred. And I'm assuming that, if he wasn't received and or if his presence was unwanted, they would have informed, some type of teacher, coach, an adult way before the other students arrived and then confronted him. I believe that someone would have got someone's attention way before then if there was some type of violation or if there was some type of rule in place that said that, teams have to stay, with their teams, but generally, and many of us have spoken to this, and we're not beating a dead horse here in the sense of like the same, but we do want to reiterate that, the sports culture, especially track and field, there is generally no rivalry situation in a track and field situation. Probably more rivalry maybe in football than there is track and field. Track and field is an individual sport. So even though, you got teams versus teams and schools versus schools, you're really competing against yourself. Anyone that is a true runner knows this, because you're trying to break your own record. You're trying to improve upon your own score. So it's almost like a one-man competition. You're really competing against yourself, though you are running beside other people. And then, of course, there are the different, levels and all the things. But I digress. So there's really generally no drama associated with track and field. So it seems to me that there was some other things going on here, personal things that were going on here. And I don't think everyone was privy to the sentiments that was expressed. And I'm going to say, I don't believe that Karmelo was privy to the sentiments that was expressed. And it's unfortunate. Now, he was invited by what we would call a frenemy. Okay, someone who smiles in your face, but behind your back, they're backstabbing. All right. They're really, truly not your friend, but they're acting like that they're your friend. And I think that, of course, Karmelo knows now that individual, I think his name is Eddie, that individual that invited him into the tent in the first place is not a friend. And this is, again, how we know, because many have testified that when asked in court, did he know him? He said no. And then his attorney, which was Karmelo's attorney, showed all of these pictures that have now been shared 100 times over online. Pictures, intimate pictures with him and Eddie's family and all of them in different gatherings at different times, having a good time, being extra friendly, buddy, and all the things. So it goes to show you that you have to be careful who you call a friend. And clearly, there was a stronger alliance with the Metcalfs. And that's okay if you're closer to them, but don't play the games. You know what I mean? Don't pretend to be somebody else's friend and then you're playing both sides. Don't do that. So obviously something happened in between, and that's what gave the Metcalfs the gas that day, the fuel that day to confront Carmelo Anthony under the tent. Now they said it was because he refused to move, but it seems like to me there was energy way before they got there and insisted that he move. And many have testified, those that have seen the video saw how they were walking with a purpose to the tent. So obviously, and especially in this day and age, this digital age that we're in, he might have got a text message, might have got a call, more likely a text, that there was somebody there, Bob, that energized the situation in the first place. I'm surmising at this point. It's alleged, but that's what it's giving at this point. All right, so we are here. So I found an interesting, again, I want to add to the conversation. I don't want to replay any of this stuff that we've discussed. Again, I just kind of wanted to just say that piece, that it's very unfortunate that Karmelo had to find out the hard way that that person was truly not his friend. And, now we're still trying to figure out, because we're having more questions, because more things, especially since they released the film. And again, the information that was released, the videos that were released, was this all came from the opposition. This all came from the state, all the things that were released. So the stuff that was released was shown in court, and then some of it wasn't, to my understanding. But this is all the evidence that the state had that build their case around. And so that's what we're seeing. So we're not seeing the original videotape that everybody saw at Fresno ISD. That's not what we saw, right? That's not what's being circulated. It is the evidence that they use to build their case. So that's why there's more questions than answers. Because the truth of the matter is that the folks that did see the original tape are still saying that the videos that are currently circulating are still not the original, and it's I want to say the original state. It seems to be altered and edited. All right. And so I think many people have ran it through AI, and AI is also confirming that it's been edited. Okay. So with that being said, again, they used the footage. They altered it to make it fit whatever narrative they were trying to convey. And the narrative that they were trying to convey, based on people that sat in court, was Karmelo was the monster. Okay. That's the narrative that they wanted to paint. But unfortunately, that's why we have questions and we want answers, because his life up until that point is not really confirming that narrative. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, the lives up until this point, I'm talking about the life of the Metcalf family, more specifically the twins and even the dad, their life points towards that type of life, meaning the bullying and all the things that have come to the forefront of others that, have been complaining about them being aggressive, them bullying and all the things. So they have a reputation in that community for being bullies. They've been reprimanded for being bullies. And, again, other incidences, even down to families deciding to remove their children, that came to the surface because they were being bullied by the Metcalf twins. So they have the reputation of being the thugs and not so much Karmelo Anthony. Unfortunately, because of race, even though they're claiming it's not due to race, there's stereotypes that are connected to Black and brown people. And that is the thug, that stereotype of the thug and the hooligan. Okay. And people that are not reasonable, and people that don't have any very lived experience, don't have any diversity in their life. They have a tendency to believe what they hear, you know what I mean? And believe that somehow those things are true, and they are not. Okay. Black people are not a monolith. And like I said, unfortunately, the Metcalf family, more specifically the twins and the dad, has a reputation for bullying, not Karmelo. But they try to spin it in that way because, again, what it seems like to me, what's coming out to the forefront is they're trying to make him the fall guy because of the mistakes that was made on that rainy day. Okay. All right. So let's talk about some of the things that have seemed to come to the forefront and the conversations that people are having surrounding the videos, and how the videos are actually revealing more and more and more as people analyze the videos. They're seeing more and more and more. And what's unfortunate, just like we said, is like these people do not see the videos clearly, all right, in court. And they had a disadvantage because they were not able to see the videos. And not only that, they had a disadvantage because they really didn't have a lot of background information about Karmelo Anthony. Because a lot of us did our due diligence because we could do our due diligence. Unfortunately, when you sit on a jury, you don't have the opportunity to do your due diligence from your own personal research. You only are exposed to what is being presented in court. And so there's a disadvantage there. So if there was no case presented and no proper defense, the jury had they had options. They could have just said, hey, listen, we can't even split the baby on this. There's still some reasonable doubt. Because if there's still more questions, even after the video and everybody's claiming they couldn't see it, even in court, then there's reasonable doubt. So they should have judged based on that. But unfortunately, they were pushed into this verdict, and the verdict is what it is. But now we know that Karmelo has a team behind him of attorneys that are pursuing what they're pursuing pro bono. Whether it's the appeal, whether it's a retrial, they are pursuing it, and they are doing it pro bono. And so again, they can breathe a little bit easy in the sense where they don't have to worry about trying to raise the funds and things of that nature, because again, there was a lot of energy surrounding, blocking them from raising the money to be able to pay their attorneys. So it's a wonderful thing that these folks are just coming forward and volunteering to do this pro bono. That is an absolute blessing from God. And so, so let's get into it. I discovered this video. Shout out to Queen. Let me get her full name here. Shout out to the original Queen, Shakur. I'm sorry, am I saying her name right? Original Queen, I think it's Shakur's show. Okay. Yeah, Shakur show. All right. I can't say her first name, so I'm not even going to try. But shout out to her. I'm going to do a review of her video. She did about a day or so ago. I want to make sure that we put all her things in the description so that you can go check out the original video from her platform, from her channel. The title of this video is Witness 2 Original Videos Joins to Discuss Karmelo's Case, What a Watermelon Felon Is, and What We Missed. Okay, so that's the name of her video. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Let me make sure that, again, everything can be seen. Everything is clear before we go into it. I believe the gentleman's name, the individual that she's interviewing, I believe his name is Dwayne, if I'm not mistaken. And just like I forestated, he was there from the beginning. So that's what I like about this particular interview. Let me just make sure that all the things are just, so that we can just see the straight video. Again, shout out to her. I'll be sure to ask permission from her, because I do like to ask for permission when I'm using someone else's content. Let me just try to frame it in a way where it makes sense. There we go. Okay, cool. Again, welcome to the channel, y'all. Feel free to do me a huge favor and like this video, all right, please, and thank you. I'm just trying to pull up my banner, and for some reason, it's just not doing what it needs to. Okay, so let us remember to give us some likes, all the things, right? Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you. We are trying to build. All right. So I think I've talked long enough. Let me save my voice for the commentary that we're going to make off the video. Now, I strongly recommend watching all of this. It was very good. I watched most of it, but I kind of just want to focus on some parts that I didn't know that I've come to learn. That's the part that I want to focus on today. But I do highly recommend you watching the video in its entirety. I believe Dwayne, which is the individual that's being interviewed, again, was one of the ones that was there from the beginning. And so I think that, to me, in my opinion, that he's more trusted of a source than most. Again, there's a lot of folks that are being asked to do interviews, and these are people that have seen the original content. They've seen the original video from Fresco ISD. I think every one of those individuals, all of their stories line up. And so to me, those are more of the primary source folks that I would go to if I had a question about the case than anyone else. Everyone else that's doing these, that are YouTubers that don't live in that area, that are not familiar with the dynamics in that area, that don't know these families, again, yeah, our opinions, they come a dime a dozen. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say, do your due diligence. That's the only thing that I can encourage you to do. Keep these family lifted in prayer. But at the same time, we don't want anybody to get railroaded. We want there to be some form of justice and a system to properly work. And every citizen should be concerned about a system that is not working properly, because it can work against you. And it doesn't matter what your complexion is. So, to me, that is the real crime in this, is if somebody took the justice system and used it for their personal use, then that's a problem for me. You know what I mean? And that really speaks volumes, because if you're looking at this case and you're still scratching your head and you're having questions and desiring answers, can you imagine all the other cases, you know what I mean, that happened prior to this and how they were judged? And you begin to, again, question, like, well, what's really been going on all this time? Like, you know what I mean? It should be a concern if you're a person, especially that lives in that community. And then also in your community, in our communities, we have to make sure, again, these are voted officials. These are people that we vote for, so they should be doing the people's bidding. They shouldn't be using these offices and these positions for their own personal gain. That never. All right. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, as citizens of this country, as citizens of those areas and things, those counties and those jurisdictions that we're talking about, you got to hold these people accountable. Again, aside from race, because this can happen to anyone, more so black folk, let's be clear, than brown, but it can happen to anyone. And the mere fact is that we're voting these people in office, and this is how they're treating the system. No, no. So yeah, we want answers. All right. So are we ready? Now I try to, this is like maybe 40 something minutes in. So let me cook a little bit. Let me let them talk, and then I'll add my 2 or 3 pieces to this. And then we'll move forward.
So what do you think about the people that said there was actual footage from the, I think they said Fox 4 Dallas. They said when the ambulance was leaving the field, that Hunter and 2 of his friends said that after Austin punched Karmelo in the face, Karmelo picked up the tool that they had used to put up the tent. Because that's not what anybody else said in the court, but they said that footage was taken down shortly thereafter. And also, let's talk about when he said they threw the backpack.
Okay, so a couple of things. Many people are asking questions about whether the tool that was used, whether it was an opportunity or whether it was by way of an accident. But the tool that was used to harm the twin that passed away was not Karmelo's. Okay, so again, these are more questions people are raising. Like, wait a minute, why wasn't the tool, knife, whatever you want to call it, why wasn't it brought into court? Like they never. This is based on folks that were there. This is based on the family. These are based on other people that have testified that they did not bring the tool to court. They brought something similar to it, but not the actual weapon that was used. Okay. Again, that raises a lot of questions. And she indicated that in an early interview, okay, right after the incident, Hunter, okay, Hunter was doing a lot of interviews in the beginning. And so a lot of people started pulling those interviews and looking at them again, asking questions because it just doesn't seem to line up with what was testified in court. And he did not testify in court. What he did was he had remarks at the end of it, and people were like, well, why wasn't he questioned? Why wasn't he questioned in court? Why didn't he testify? Right? So again, more questions. So that's what we're talking about. So based on what was said by Hunter, and people saw the video, of the interview that was made shortly after the incident, of him saying that he used the tool that him and his brother used to put up the tents. And then also she mentioned, and this is Queen Shakur mentioned about them grabbing his backpack. And this is Hunter's testimony of him grabbing the backpack. So it is possible that Karmelo had his own tool, and it seems like this might be a common, tool that was used amongst the athletes. It might have been common amongst. That's what was strange, because everybody's keep asking, well, why did he have one? Why was it there? Why, not being aware that the twins had one too. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, again, and like I said, the original tool or weapon wasn't even presented in court. So I have questions. Which or whose tool did the work, did the damage? Which tool? That wasn't really proven in court. They just, based on how not the defense, but the prosecutors crafted their case, they made it as if it was Karmelo's tool. But again, we have more questions than we do answers, unfortunately. All right, let's continue.
So they testified on the stand constantly. There was different witnesses saying that he had his hand in the backpack the whole time, and like he pulled the knife out of there. But if Austin threw the backpack, and that's what Hunter said, and Jeff Metcalf said it too. So I'm thinking, if Jeff Metcalf wasn't there, how did he know that he had to have gotten that from Hunter? So why would Hunter say the backpack was thrown? And then one of the witnesses said Austin told Karmelo, you ain't got nothing in that bag. And so I felt like, okay, well, maybe that's why he took it and threw it. But if he threw it, how are they saying his hand was in there the whole time? Now, do you think there's any truth to that?
Well,
not the backpack being thrown.
According to Jeff Metcalf, because he said that he was there, is what he said. I'm repeat his word. But because he said it, from first person point of view, he said that Austin grabbed the bag. Hunter said that he first grabbed the bag, but he said later on, Austin grabbed the bag and threw it. All those things are lining up with the people that were there. Now we know what they testified to on the stand, and the two people that gave their statements on the actual police report. However, from what we've seen in the evidence, the bag was closed when the officers took it that day and threw it on top of the tarp. It was closed. They opened it up later on to inventory it and took a picture. But the bag was closed because he threw it to his partner and nothing came out. We know from looking at the footage that Karmelo had no bag near him. We saw that if you really closely look at the footage, there's a gray little hoodie part sitting in there but it's leaned back toward this other black image, and that's where he was being choked. And then Austin picked him up with this football move, they said, and then threw him back, and they started beating him up. Those are things that we know is fact. We know that that Jose testified to most of the things I'm talking about right now. And then they took a break for 2.5 minutes, took Jose to the chambers, and when they came back, the prosecution asked him 2 questions, and he said it was Karmelo's fault. So we understand that these people have done a lot of things and said a lot of things that were never said in court. And I'm gonna tell y'all this. I'll say allegedly. Jeff Metcalf was already there. He stated in one of his interviews with, I think, CBS 11, they were at his house, and the guy started challenging him and saying, "Hey, people are saying this, that Karmelo this and Karmelo that," and he said, "Were they there? Were they there? Because they don't know nothing. Because I was there." That's what he said. That's what he said, and he said, "I know exactly what happened." So that was first person.
So, based on what we heard, he's saying the dad is testifying that he was present. Again, we have more questions, not a lot of answers. If dad was present, then why didn't dad sit on and answer questions? Why wasn't dad called? Why wasn't Hunter called? And why is it that, again, these things that were said that happened before the trial, shortly after the incident, versus the things that were actually reported in court are not lining up? And also, it's just interesting how he mentioned a person by the name of Jose who was questioned. And the gentleman here is saying that in the beginning, during the questioning, as he was sharing what happened, it seemed to line up with what they saw in the video. And then all of a sudden they took a break and convinced, I guess, whatever, after the talking to, whatever conversations they had, he came back and it seems like the story began to change. And to me, again, you're tampering with witnesses, you're threatening witnesses. It's just a tragedy of justice here. And, you know, listen, we're not in the 1940s, you know what I mean? In the 1950s, in the 1930s, in the early 1900s. That's not where we are, which a lot of those things happened in courts, you know, closed doors. Nobody knew, just people getting consequences left and right. Didn't make sense. They didn't prove their case, but because they said it was so. And so we're not there no more. Those times and days are over. Regardless of how many people want to go back, we ain't going back. All right. And so therefore, people need to be held accountable for the words that they've spoken out their mouths, whether they are telling the truth or if they're lying. If they're lying, then, you know, they need to be held accountable. If they're telling the truth, and again, the truth is only going to just bring forth more truth, you know what I'm saying, and open doors and healing. So again, we just simply want answers. We want people to tell the truth. We want people to be forthcoming, because again, the right thing needs to be done. And it appears to me as if, you know, because they're angry that their son lost his life, regardless of who took it, because that's still questionable. We don't really know if Karmelo even did it at this point, based on all the stuff that is coming to the surface. And that may sound crazy to some people, but based on all the information that has come forth, we still have questions as to whether Karmelo is guilty of anything at this point, other than being a black man sitting under a tent, a black young man sitting under a tent. Wrong place, wrong time. Even though he was at the right place because he was an athlete competing, you know what I mean? And these young men technically got kicked off the team and they were just there to set up the tents. They weren't even competing. So, you know, I digress. Let's move forward, because so much could be said here.
And he said many things that was from his first person point of view that he know. He said he knew that this was happening. I know this happened. He didn't say the boys told me. He said, I know. And so I believe Jeff was there because allegedly they got called there earlier. And that's why Megan Metcalf said that she was able to beat the ambulance to the hospital because she works in Grapevine, Texas. That's a long trek for you to make and beat the ambulance there from Grapevine to Plano. She was coming from Frisco and she was heading to Grapevine, got the call because Hunter said that he called his phone and his mom answered and he told her what happened to Austin. And she said she turned around and she went to the hospital and beat them there. Hunter's phone was in her car because he left it there when she came to the middle school to address whatever it was that they had going on with the girl from Emerson. That's the reason why that he was able to call his phone, because he left it in the car and his mama answered because she didn't answer her phone. So these are things that become relevant to their witness statements and what they testify to. And the reason why during the whole trial, Hunter was never there at the trial. He was at home. And even when they wanted him to testify, he was nowhere to be found. But after he was found guilty and sentenced, and they had to give the impact statements, here come Hunter in the car with his friends. And then he goes in there and gives his impact statement, and then they come back outside.
So again, he didn't testify, should have, because again, if you're telling what happened, shortly after the incident, you should have testified, But again, I think that they were maybe afraid that he would incriminate himself. And, so that's that. It is interesting how they said that he left his cell phone in the car. Hunter left his cell. So that means that whomever communicated with the other twin, with the communication, because it seems as if they were, again, you're talking about, a track field, a stadium. All right. And people weren't near each other. So something was communicated to those twins. And then they kept, they were approaching the tent with intention. So if the text wasn't sent to Hunter because his phone was in his mom's car, then the text had been sent to the other young man. And so, so it's just obviously Hunter did not have his phone. So, and then he was busy, fighting or what have you. It's just a lot, y'all. So let's continue to listen. Like I said, there's unfortunately more questions, that we're asking because it just doesn't seem to make sense. The case that was presented doesn't seem to make sense on the prosecutor's end. It doesn't make sense, the case that they presented. If I was a jurist and I was sitting there and I would be so confused, number one, I can't see the video. It's not clear to me. These kids are testifying, but yet they're getting caught up in lies. It is, they're literally getting tripped up and being exposed for not telling the truth. Then the individuals that claim that they were there are not testifying. I don't have enough information to be able to even rule on this. That's what I would say as a jurist. I couldn't even tell you either way, because how things are being presented is so confusing. We need more. There's, again, more questions, right, that are being asked rather than answers. And we do need answers.
They do the little press conference and they come back outside. But he could not be there because if he said anything, that would be on.
Let me say this. There was somebody that watched and said, your commentary doesn't make sense. Well, yeah, because we got more questions than we have answers, my guy. It probably is not going to make sense because none of this makes sense. It just doesn't make sense at all. How you can paint a young man that does not have a past for being a thug or someone that runs in the streets, that has basically graduated summa cum laude, close to a 4.0 GPA, or magna cum laude. No priors, no criminal history, save someone's life. But yet, the prosecutor is painting this young man as a thug. Right there, that's disingenuous. Right there, that's lies in the court. See, it's one thing to prove your case, but prove your case based on facts, not fiction. So none of this makes sense. For you to try to paint it as if this is a hard criminal, the killer. None of that's true. Now, the young man's life was taken for sure. That happened. That's a fact. But who did it, how it was done, it's still being scrutinized. It's still being questioned, because what is being painted in terms of the picture from the other side, which is the prosecutor in the state, it's not making sense. So sorry, that would not be my fault, my guy. It would be the fault of these individuals that made the case. They did not make the case. That's why it's looking crazy right now, because they didn't make the case. And right now we are analyzing their decision and we are saying this doesn't make sense. And to anyone with any common sense, it should tell you it doesn't make sense. Because here's the thing. If this young man was indeed a thug, they would have already had pulled the rap sheet by now. The rap sheet alone would have went viral. I think they tried to create something that was confirmed to be AI of him holding a gun. No, that was wrong. You know what I mean? So again, things are not making sense. Lies are being told, and people are being, again, proven to be liars. And that is the problem with this whole case. So you cannot build your house with a deck of cards. You can't piss on people and say it's raining and people are going to be okay with that. This is what this is giving. All right. So no, we don't have the answers. We're not sway for sure. But we are asking questions. And that's why the team was formed in the first place, right? Because they also see through the nonsense. And I'm not a lawyer, but I have common sense. And I also have a discernment. And from the moment I heard about this case, something wasn't clicking to me. It didn't make sense. And so when things don't make sense, then it's something wrong. It's something off. So don't get mad at me. Get mad at the people that did this. I'm just reporting what I hear and sharing the information and encouraging you to do your own due diligence, your own research, look into it for yourself, right? That's what I would encourage.
Understand this whole case would have went up in fire because only thing he could do was lie, because they have so much footage of him lying already or back and forth on this case. And so he could not be there. And so that also are some things that's going to go in the favor of Karmelo, because his lawyers never called Hunter to the stand or held him in contempt of not being available for testimony.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, yeah, this is all crazy. Okay, now someone sent me this video. I think this is a video I already showed. Hold on.
So again, the questioning Hunter's credibility. Yes, that was his brother. Yes, that was his twin. I know that he's heartbroken because now his twin is no longer with them. And I get it. It's hard. But unfortunately, Hunter has a part to play in this. And I really strongly believe that in a negative way. We know that he was a part of the fighting, but in the demise of his brother, I believe that he had a role and a part to play in it. Might have been accidental or whatever, but I really do believe that. And I know people like, how could you? Well, when you look at the video, which we're about to in just a few moments, see how violent they were and how aggressive they were. And it's almost like to the point of being just simply careless, to the point where almost like they've lost themselves in that moment. And when you're in that type of rage and it's out of control, then yeah, some mistakes are going to be made. And again, some things can't be fixed with, I'm sorry, I'm calling your parents. Sometimes you're going to have to sit in them consequences. And that's unfortunate. But honestly, that's what it's giving. That's what it appears to be, unfortunately.
Let me see some real quick. Okay. Blessed the chosen. Thank you, beloved. I think I've already shown this video you sent. This is a video of someone going in the trash can.
All right, so they're going to be showing some videos. She's talking to her people. Again, shout out to Queen Shakur. We secure. Am I saying her name right? Probably not. But we thank God for the Queen and her due diligence in reporting this case.
Like, this is really something that was like a concerted effort by multiple people from the sounds of it.
Yeah, it definitely was.
So, yeah, absolutely. And so now they have this fake information going out too. They were having rumors.
Let's go back a bit.
I think this is a video I already showed. Hold on, let me see some real quick. Okay. Blessed the chosen. Thank you, beloved. I think I've already shown this video you sent. This is a video of someone going in the trash can. I showed that the other day, beloved, but thank you. Okay, so this really, because of all of the shady things that have been going on, people infiltrating the family, people threatening other people. I mean, this just seems like it is so deep. Like, this is really something that was like a concerted effort by multiple people from the sounds of it.
Yeah, it definitely was.
So, yeah, absolutely. And so now they have this fake information going out too. They were having rumors. Hold on. What I sent you is my email, not big enough. I promise it shows the stabbing. Oh, okay. Let me see here. Let me pull this up.
Okay, guys, they're just trying to get it together, but she's right in terms of the effort of undermining this case, tampering with evidence, tampering with witnesses. Yeah, for somebody to be just as for a claim that Karmelo was guilty, maliciously murderous individual, all the things. Why are they going to just great lengths to tamper with evidence? In addition to the video, blocking the courts, not allowing anybody to get inside, or limiting how many people can actually see or witness the court. No, not allowing cameras in there, not allowing people to use. I think everybody that had a phone, all the students. I think in the beginning they said there was footage released in the beginning, and they scrubbed the web of the footages that were released of people showing, actually what they videotaped, in that moment of the incident. That the internet was scrubbed of that. To me, again, they're going to great lengths, trying to do all of these things for someone they claim is guilty of sin, for someone that they claim did all these bad things, but yet they're going over and beyond trying to conceal stuff. I'm sorry, but it's giving corruption. It really, truly is. Okay, let me turn this back.
What we can see. Hold on, I'm going to share the screen real quick. Said this shows the stab, but I hope it does.
I'm going to speed this up in a little bit.
Hey, y'all get in the building. Before I show this video, man, I got something to say real quick. Don't say this, and don't say to go off on a couple of these YouTubers, right? I tried to send Ticket TV this video. Nigga too dumb, too stubborn to try to listen to anybody else. They keep showing that same old dumbass shit. Him?
Sorry, y'all, the language, my bad.
He's showing the same old girl.
Okay, so.
See, I'm trying to send them this video because their platform is bigger than mine. But I'm finna show.
I mean, he's saying that there are some other content creators that are just kind of like just showing the same stuff and they're having different conversations, but let's see what he has to say.
This is Mello between here, and Hunter is over here. That's why Hunter did not see the stab, because the stab happened over here. All right. When these boys push Mello this way, they're going to pull him back this way. One of their arms going to slip and hit Austin. Austin is going to walk up here, turn around with his hand on his chest, and he's going to collapse. Now, don't y'all pay attention to none of this. Pay attention to this right here, to him right here, because this is Austin. Watch, you're going to see him go up here. He's going to turn around and fall. Once you see Melo up here, watch Austin. He's going to step up, turn around with his hand on his chest, and he's going to fall. Now, y'all watch this. They're attacking Melo. They'll go to push. They'll go to stab. Now, watch Austin. Austin step up, turn around with his hand on his chest, and he fall. Y'all just see him fall? Y'all just see him fall? Let's watch it again. They go to fight. They go to push, the pull, the stab. Now watch Austin step up. He's turning around with his hand on his chest.
Mm-hmm.
He collapsed. Did y'all just see that? Man, these YouTubers, big platforms, just think they all that and static. They steady get clicks and views.
Okay, brother, we get it.
Videos, breakdowns. What they break it down is nothing. They keep showing y'all.
We get it, bro. Okay.
The truth right here. I believe one of these boys is Eddie. That's right here. Now, y'all watch it again. Y'all watch Austin right here again. See, they want y'all to think Austin is the one when that Melo, so that'll give reason Melo to stab him, because they don't want y'all to know that his friend stabbed him by mistake. Now,
did you hear that? They think that it was his friend that stabbed him by mistake, because based on the seating, they were all jumping him, but there seemed to be more of a direct interaction with Hunter versus the other young man.
Let's play it again. Don't even pay attention to this. Pay attention to Austin. The push, the pull, the stab. Now watch Austin, y'all. Watch Austin. He step up, he turn around with his hand on his chest, and he falls.
Yeah.
Melo go to running. They go to running too.
Nowhere near Karmelo.
No, nowhere. And that's like I said, he fell down and he hit the girl in the yellow poncho and he fell over another dude. Yeah, and that's the reason why Eddie Parra changed his clothes and took him with him, balled up. And so he again, this lines up with what we said, what I said, and about another 6 people said in the beginning of this thing, way back in June, July, and August, when we were talking about the video. We kept telling people that Austin went to chase Karmelo, but he couldn't. And I kept telling them that he grabbed his chest. You can see it on the video clear as day. And when he came down, like I said, you can see the other hand reaching out. And it was like they were hitting him. That's why I said you can't tell what they were doing, but you could tell that Austin was getting attacked just like Karmelo was getting attacked when he came back down. And when he came back down, I think they mistakenly thought that he was Melo.
So he's saying that they were attacking Austin because, what were they fighting with, their eyes closed? But it's as if, again, it was so much going on. It was chaos. They were after Melo left the tent, they were still fighting underneath the tent. So I'm like, were they like girls and just like, you know how girls fight with their eyes closed? Like they just kind of like, I don't know. But they were still very active underneath that tent after Melo slipped out of there.
Coming back down. And they went and attacked him. And I'm look, allegedly, I'll say allegedly, I was told by some young people that Eddie Parra actually had envy, jealousy, and some other things for Karmelo. And so he was jealous. He was jealous of the relationship he had with the girlfriend, because Eddie is supposed to be the play cousin or whatever the case may be. But he was also feeling some type of way about Karmelo. And so that's a lot of jealousy going on because he's not getting that moment. And so I think that it was deeper. And that's why I tell people this is deeper than just a canopy. You're not sitting where you're supposed to be. Those twins were mad because how dare you stop us from doing what we want to do? And the other guys that were with them, all these black kids that was with them, were envious and jealous of Karmelo. And even the judge, when he sentenced Karmelo, said, "You are not about to go back to your nice house in the gated community."
That is unfortunate. Because it doesn't make sense. And that's unfortunate how, again, because of the defense not doing their job. Because again, they're trying to find a motive. What would be the motive? If it's murder, if it's what do they call it in The Shining? Red rum. There was another lady that she went back all the way to The Shining and referred to it as red rum. But if it's red rum, right, then generally there's a motive, some type of motive attached to it. And it doesn't seem to be any. Just doesn't seem to be any motive at all. But based on what we're hearing here, it seems to be something deeper on the other side, right? As to why all of these things happened in the first place. And it seems as if Eddie allegedly seems to be in the middle of all of these things. Seems to be. And again, that's the job of these attorneys, is to get to the bottom of this. Again, it's not for them to retry it until it's time for them to retry, because he just may get another opportunity for this thing to be retried. Because it just seems to be all over the place. There's too much tampering, even down to them saying that there was some things thrown away at the track meet in the trash, and it was retrieved. So that means that there was some evidence that was tampered with. So it's like that's what I'm saying. These types of situations, if you're gonna go to great lengths to try to prove a case, you better make sure you have all your boxes checked. And it seems like that's where they dropped the ball. You know what I mean? I mean, because if on record, literally on film, if there's people tampering with evidence and the place is insecured, and during the trial, you don't have the original, or do you? The original tool or weapon, that you don't even have that. Again, everything is questionable.
That's what the judge told Karmelo.
The judge
So
said
this
that?
was,
Hold on
yes, he did.
one second, beloved. Blessed the chosen. Thank you so much for sending that video, beloved. I appreciate you. So
Yes.
the judge told him in the courtroom, you're not about to go back to that nice house.
Yeah, he told him that in the courtroom. And so it's a moment to where everybody was looking at what Andrew Anthony and Kayla Hayes
I'm sorry, that's another one. Was it he sitting the whole time? That's what they said. They said everyone that saw that video said he was sitting the whole time. The people that saw the original video at Fresno ISD, and also in this video, it appears as if his posture is low, that he's not standing up. Now, mind you, he is shorter than them. I believe that he's like, what, 5'8", 5'9", and they were 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2". Karmelo was 130. The boys were like close to 230. So they were much larger than he was. But it appears to be that he was either stooped or in a seated position, even in the video. So basically, based on everybody's testimony, which seems to be consistent, that he was seated the whole time. Even while they were trying to wrestle him and everything, they might have grabbed him, pulled him, he was in a seated position. So it's just kind of interesting. Like I said, it's just more questions, more, again, concerns. We need answers, because it just doesn't make sense.
Were able to build for their family a better life. Is the reason why they came to Texas. They did that. Right. They were raising their family together. Nice, wholesome family, good people, good kids, good background, all that stuff. These folks were doing what you're supposed to do as the American dream, and everybody around them was jealous and envious of what they had. At the same time, in their face, because we seen the pictures of EDspiring smiling and all in Karmelo's face at the houses and in the bedrooms and all that stuff at the game, sitting on the bench next to him and smiling and talking to him. But all along, you smiling in his face. All along, you want to take his place.
Okay.
So that song said, "You backstabbers," and that's what he was doing the whole time. And as the gentleman said, everyone is believing allegedly that EDspiring is the one that actually accidentally stabbed Austin. And that's the reason why they are so adamant and protecting, because Hunter is the first aggressor. Hunter started all. He's the one that went up and actually approached Karmelo first. Then Austin was the one that took over. Remember, Hunter said, "My brother has my back, regardless if I'm right or wrong." Hunter said he was the one that started it. And so since he was the one that started it, Austin picked it up. They all began to aggress upon Karmelo. As you see in the video, Karmelo was gone. He wasn't even nowhere near nobody. And that's why I told people that Karmelo really don't know what happened. The coach told Karmelo when he walked him back over there to look at Austin laying down, he said, "If he passes away, your life is going to be over." And Karmelo was like, "No, he's going to be okay." And then the coach said, "No, if he passes, your life is going to be over." The coach is the one that told Karmelo he did something wrong. Karmelo didn't know what happened.
So now that all makes sense as to why Karmelo said, "I'm not alleged, I did it."
Because the coach told him.
And that's why it's important to tell our children and to tell our young adults that, these people, unfortunately, when it really comes down to it, they're mandated reporters, they're police officers, or what have you. All right. They're teachers. They're not your friends. They're not your friends. And I'm not saying that there might be some folks, that there aren't people that care for you, that operate in these positions and whatnot. That might be true, but they have more of a responsibility to report things. It's mandated. I'm a teacher, former teacher, 20 some plus years experience. You're a mandated reporter. So you have to separate how you feel about somebody, and you have to tell whatever the truth is, right? Or report on things, even if it was adverse against the people that you like, or the young people, whatever. You have to tell whatever the truth is, or whatever the situation, you have to give the account. And so as he was saying what he was saying, just like they said, you make sure that your rights are being read, your manager rights are read, because it says you have a right to remain silent, that anything that you say may and will be used against you. So we have to tell and teach our young people that you have to, again, hold your peace. They may ask you, "Did you do this?" You have a right to not respond. You have a right to remain silent, until your parents or an attorney is present. Your attorney, somebody that's going to work for you, is present, and then you can tell your side of the story. But if you happen to say anything or give or even express something, they can take it and twist your words. And so again, he was just simply being honest and thinking, well, maybe I did have some part in this, and just being honest and open. Like, I hope he's okay. Like, I don't even know. Yo, I didn't ask for this. I was just sitting there, bro. They came to me. But now they're trying to make it as if I'm the one that's causing all this problem when I did not. Like, it's just horrible, but that's what it's giving. I'm sorry, y'all. That's what it's giving. I know, because the young man is no longer here, but that's what it's giving to me. It really, truly is. And I'll be glad when all this stuff really comes to the forefront, because it really needs to at this point.
Right.
The coach told him he did it. Yeah.
Hold on. Scorched Earth said, "Wasn't Melo sitting the whole time? How was he stabbed?" Okay,
correct.
Thank you for a question and your insight, beloved. I appreciate you. So yeah, that's another thing. They did say he was sitting the whole time. Hold on, one more super chat. Okay, Drop the Mic says, "Queen, now I have the video of 2 boys going to the trash can. What's your email?" two of them going to the trash can. Okay, it is Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur at gmail.com, beloved. I'm going to put it in the
Ahmadiyyah, that's what her name is.
contribution to
The core.
You have one that walked up to throw something away. That was the first little boy. I think they identified him already. And then you had one that was on the stands, and you had one that was on the ground.
Tampering with evidence, bro.
That both of them emerged to go toward the trash can. One was pointing toward it. The other one that was on the top, he actually picked it up. They both were doing whatever they were doing. The other one on the top reached in it, grabbed whatever he got out of it, put in his pocket, and he walked away fast, then ran away. Yeah, so there was actually two. There was a total of three, but there was two that was on the bleachers. One that went and put something in it, knocked it over. The other one came and got it out. But there was another young man person, I'll just say that walked up to it as well from on the track, and they were talking to that one, telling them, "Hey, the trash can," pretty much, and then you could see them pick it up and go from there. So that person is correct. There was.
So the police dropped the ball too. Again, more questions.
Something is fishy. Something has to be fishy about Eddie, because he was supposed to be like Austin's best friend. He said that was his brother when he was chasing Karmelo after it happened. Okay, so remember when Jeff had that cookout, that barbecue, and invited all them, but Eddie wasn't there in the picture.
Yeah, it was an all-white cookout, so he wasn't invited.
Oh, Lord.
Right.
You remember, Eddie is mixed.
Right. Okay, but I find that interesting, because what if Eddie's the one who accidentally did that, and that could be another reason he wasn't invited?
Well, no, Jeff wasn't going to invite him regardless, because it's Jeff. Jeff ain't inviting that boy. He got some of us in him, so he ain't coming. So that's just what that is. Jeff has PR meetings for them to mix with us. But in that moment, that was an intimate moment on Jeff's. It was actually on Jeff's Facebook page. He posted it. Yeah, so it ain't like it's something that somebody else posted. Yeah, he made a video and he took a picture.
Isn't that something?
Those were witnesses, not just boys. Those were witnesses, people that were at the track meet, and they had this right after. It was in July, I believe. Right after this happened.
Tampering like a mug.
And as one of the guys said, "I'm gonna do anything for the Metcalfs." And he did. He went there and lied on the stand for the Metcalfs.
That's deep.
During the appeals process, that the witnesses who testified were all friends and schoolmates and classmates of Austin's. So, of course, they had a motive. And also, the fact that, if we want to look at it that way, also the defense could have, but we know why they didn't, but they could have made the argument that because of them having like an emotional relationship or bond perhaps with the family, going to the cookout and all of that, that they may have had a biased testimony. That's something that could have been brought up, because that just like to say, if me and you are friends, right, and then I'm called in to testify.
Okay, we get it, but let me just move on. The watermelon felon part. Hold on.
Being trespassed from the property because you were not supposed to be there. One of the someone actually tipped them off, but I know from Dominique Alexander, so I'll repeat it. He said on the live, he said that he didn't even know Jeff was there. It was actually JD Miles of CBS 11 DFW. A shout out to him, because he kept us informed of what was going on in the courtroom during the trial. He actually came to them and said, "Hey, y'all do know that that's the father, Jeff Metcalf of Austin." And they were like, "Huh?" And they was like, "Yeah, that's him." And so that's what alerted them to even know he was there.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he wasn't supposed to be there. Yeah, because it was invite only. It was media invite only. Jeff showed up, and he was showing up to do exactly what he was doing, to intimidate and do all those things, but he wanted to hide behind Christianity, talking about he was there to pray. Boy, nobody wants your prayers. Your prayers don't go no further than them ugly eyebrows you got.
Wow. Yeah, and that's unfortunate, because he's going around like to media and being interviewed saying, they kicked me out because, I just wanted to go and pray. Brother, no one believes you. Your intention, you're angry because your son's life was taken, and you have a right to be upset about that. You do. But people are not telling the truth. And that's unfortunate. It really, really, truly is unfortunate. But you have to say and hold your children accountable because they had a part to play in this. They had a part to play in this. They did.
So okay, so hold on, because somebody just sent me something.
I hope it's the watermelon felon thing.
Okay, someone just sent me this video. Now this could be the same one. You all moderators, are y'all watching for the trolls? Because somebody just said you effing N-words.
Okay. Anyway, you gotta ignore people because they slow.
Just go on and ban them real quick.
And so, again, we were looking for the truth.
And then later, I got one with somebody coming back. Let's go to this one and see what we have here.
Hey guys, I just want to show you that it was two guys that threw something away in this Karmelo Anthony case. One guy, you'll see him right here, he's standing under the tent. Then he kind of mills around while all the commotion is happening. See how he's standing by the trash can? He's going to go out of frame while Karmelo's running down the steps. Then you see the second guy. He throws something. Then there's the first guy again.
Yeah.
That means two guys during all this commotion that's going on is throwing something away at that trash can.
Correct.
Why? What are you throwing away?
Because the first guy,
you had to throw it away where all this commotion is going on.
The first guy threw something away. The second guy threw his away and knocked the trash can over. And so then you have the third guy, which I was saying on the platform, that comes later and picks it up and take whatever it is out. And so she's correct. Yeah, she's correct. Right. There was two guys that threw stuff away. The first guy, which actually looks like an older guy when you really pan in, he looks like someone grown. The one that was milling around at first. That person, as soon as that little young guy that they identified threw away whatever he threw away that moved the trash can, you could see that guy out of the frame almost, and he comes and throws something away, but it knocked the can over. And so those are two guys that she's talking about. Then the third guy comes later on and picks it up, and there's someone down the bottom looking at him and addressing him about that can as well. He picks it up because that person was kind of saying, hey, wait. And then when everybody pass by, he picks it up, get whatever out. That he stands there, wait till they take Karmelo out the frame, and then all of a sudden he takes off again, and he takes off walking fast, then he runs. And so there's 4 individuals total, but 3 on the platform, 1 on the ground.
Wow. Again, so many questions, bro. We need answers. Why? What are you hiding?
Church says, can internal affairs get involved? Police botched. Well, here's the thing. I don't trust internal affairs. A lot of times they work for the police, not against them. That I have researched, beloved. I don't think that would do any good. But thank you for your insight and your question and your contribution. I appreciate you. Now, someone sent me this. It says the origin of the watermelon felon.
All right, this is what we're looking for.
Racist rants will free Karmelo Anthony, the original story of the watermelon felon. I never heard of this. Let's go to it. I need you all to watch out for these trolls. Are y'all on the job or not?
The trolls. Shout out to the trolls, bro.
Troll being mad, quite frankly.
Okay, so street media did the watermelon felon.
Hold on now. Let me use an overlay because I don't have permission to use this video.
Okay, shout out to street media. Okay. Well, sis, I don't have no overlay either. I hope you're okay with me using your video. All right, let me go back. Fair use.
People, watermelon felons and all this kind of stuff. I remember when he went ham, right? Look, remember this, Mike, when he did this right here? Let's get off into it real quick.
Drew Anthony, Howard, can you raise one? Kayla, you drunk? What'd you do to that boy to make him nutty? My God, what kind of mother are you? Let me make one up. Y'all can make let me make something. Y'all can go viral. I got a new name for Mello, okay? Because he was such this little boy I was trying to portray. How about Watermelon Felon? How's that one straight? Such this little boy I was trying to portray. How about Watermelon Felon? Such this little boy I was trying to.
Okay, bro. We get it.
So we got that established, right? He called Carmelo Anthony Watermelon Felon, right? Now remember, when he's using this term, Watermelon Felon, right now we're talking about discrepancies within the trial, right? We're talking about redacted statements and edited footage and everything, right? That's what we're talking about.
I'm kind of curious. Hold on a moment. Let me just see something. They said that the Watermelon Felon was based on like a show or some type of hold on. Just trying to figure out there. They said it has a deeper meaning. Like there's a show or something. Right now they're just associating it with the commentary that the dad made, but let's hear him out.
I want y'all to stay with that with this video, right? Edit footages, changing statements, everything. Because what I'm gonna show y'all gonna be like, yo, listen, bro, this thing gets real goofy, right? But let's first go over here, right? And let's go back to the beginning of the sentencing, right? And then let's first look at the sentencing. Let's look at all the emotion from the people.
Continuing coverage, our JD Miles, Andre Lucia, and our team, Aaron Jones, Marvin Hurst, outside the Collin County Courthouse and also inside. And the sentence just read by the court, 35 years in prison is the sentence.
Horrible.
Anthony. And the jury rejected the opportunity to consider what was called sudden passion.
Ridiculous.
And then a sentencing range anywhere from 2 to 20 years. But again, years now in prison. And as JD Miles just reported, 17 and a half will be the mandatory minimum of that 35.
I wish he would get at what he getting at.
Y'all, listen, I'm warming y'all up because when I'm about to.
Bro, just get to the getting.
By Andrea Lucia, what are you hearing among the crowd outside as that 35-year prison sentence was just handed down?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to step aside because people are just hearing this right now. I just saw a woman run down the street right here, letting everybody know 35 years.
Okay, I'm going to fast forward some of this.
Yeah, please.
Jeff Metcalf used the term watermelon felon, right? He used the term watermelon felon, and he got the term watermelon felon, right? It came from a cartoon, right? Episode 37 and Kirby Right Back at You, right?
Okay, let me try to find that. Let me see if I can try to find it. Hold on, y'all. Okay, let me show this. So he's saying that it's based upon this cartoon. Let me make sure you guys can see what I see. The Kirby. It's an episode. It's the 35th episode of Kirby Wiki. Kirby Wiki. Okay. And the title of that episode is Watermelon Felon. Okay. And it says here in the title, is it DD's using his network to smear Kirby's reputation. It's been edited to make him look guilty. Okay. And we can read the synopsis of this. Again, this is an episode titled Watermelon Felon of a cartoon. King DD is constantly filming Kirby in hopes of catching him in a criminal offense. But Kirby's just too warm-hearted to do anything bad. So after the king reviews the footage that he caught, he uses a few video editing tricks to make Kirby look like a thief. The edited video makes it look like Kirby ate a bag of chips that Honey's mom dropped and stole a plate of dumplings from Kawasi. Then they broadcast this footage on channel DDD, and all the Capies start to have doubts about their little pink friend. Before he knows it, Kirby finds himself on trial at a castle DD. Who can possibly convince the Capies that Kirby is just as innocent as he looks? Mind blown. Wow. So, man, either dad didn't know what he was doing and saying, or maybe dad did know what he was doing and saying. Because in that story, the narrative is that he's being framed. He's being framed. Hold on, y'all. My computer's glitching right now. And hopefully I won't be trapped for too long. Yep, it's glitching. Okay, yep, it's glitching, y'all. So hopefully, I just want to turn up the volume. It's glitching. Oh. All right, I think I'm back. Sorry about that, friends. This is glitch. Hold on, let me turn off some of this stuff. Let me just exit out of some of the windows. Maybe that can be helpful. Hold on, we're gonna end this strong. Okay. All right. Hopefully I'll be able to cancel. Hold on, y'all. Just trying to turn on the volume here.
right back at you. In this story, King Diddy frames Kirby for theft by doctoring video footage of Kirby stealing from a local fruit stand. The gullible towns.
Please excuse. I don't know
Against Kirby. But Diddy's plan backfired when the town's mob corners them instead, right? The setup. King Diddy is obsessed with catching the legendary star warrior Kirby committing a crime to ruin his reputation. Diddy uses his special camera to film the residents of Dreamland, constantly looking for compromising footage. The frame job. Diddy and Escargon.
All right. So it seems as if they're trying to frame him. And it's just interesting that he would use Watermelon Felon, because that's exactly what it seems to be, that Karmelo is being framed, to do something that he didn't do. And that seems to be what's going on. And again, this is what he's speaking out of his mouth. So let me just move it forward.
Cassidy of Jeff Metcalf, Megan Metcalf, Hunter Metcalf, Sarah Fields, all these people, that's the caucasity of them to do this to Karmelo and then blatantly laugh in your face and say, aha. But what I want them to do, I really want them to go ahead and sue Karmelo for libel. Because if they do, they're going to have to be deposed, and that's when all the truth going to come out.
Yeah, because discovery. Hold on,
Yes.
Let me just thank Robin. Robin, thank you, beloved, for becoming a member to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Yeah, I don't think they want to do that, but I heard people are encouraging them to do it so that they could take any monies that they collected or whatever, so they could pay for the appeals and all that.
Yeah, and if you really pay attention, usually that's the first thing people do. We saw it in OJ trial. The first thing the Browns did.
Yeah, so totally get it and agree that, if they do pursue something civil, that all of the things has to come to the surface. Y'all, what do you think? That last part is pretty interesting. Sorry it took so long to get to that, but I think those points specifically are pretty interesting. The fact that there was a lot of activity under that tent that wasn't discussed in the trial, that's not being discussed, that people seem to be missing, and rightly so, because the video, you would really have to study it in order for you to even try to determine what's going on, because they've gone to great lengths to distort it. So you really have to run it through. I mean, you really have to study it, like seriously, in order to really get some insight. And then there was so many things happening in the video, right? And that's why people are discovering that, people were tampering with evidence, putting stuff in the trash can, people that were, close in proximity to the incident. What are you throwing away? You know what I mean? What are you gathering, from the trash that was discarded? What's going on with that? So again, more questions. Watermelon Felon is, why that particular expression? Yes, watermelon is oftentimes, it's a negative stereotype when talking about Black people, the type of food that we like, even though it's very nutritious and high, high enrichment with nutrients. But nevertheless, and Black people ain't the only people on the planet like watermelon. Hello. But it's somehow there's a negative stereotype. Okay, but did he use it for that purpose? Or is it much deeper than that? We've seen the connection with the cartoon kind of exposing what the play may have really been when it comes to this. And we don't like this family. They're progressing more than us. They're better. They're, in a better situation than us. Who are they? They don't deserve to be where they are. These were things that were said out of their mouths, right? Concerning their family. Well, let's just pin it on them. Let's just make their life, the pain that I feel, let me make them feel the pain that I feel, because their son it's just not right. Unless Karmelo actually did something wrong And if so, then give us the facts pointing to that, prove your case, and move forward. But to go to great lengths to try to, to go to great lengths to try to frame somebody it's crazy. It's just, it's wild, especially in 2026, because as you can see, you see what's going on, right? Everybody's getting to the bottom of it. Everybody's a sleuth now. Everybody's, you know what I mean? What is it? Some of the criminal minds that we've looked at on TV, Perry Mason, Pink Panther, you know what I'm saying? What are some other famous detectives out there? Okay. I mean, so everybody's being a detective right now trying to figure this out. So it's like, this is the wrong day and age to be doing something stupid like this, because you're going to be found out. And the latter part to what was said, which I completely agree. Yeah, go ahead and sue them. Sue them. Let it pursue a civil court. It's a civil case. Pursue, because everything can then fair play for everything to come out to the open. And again, yeah, I think that would be perfect, because again, it seems like that's going to be the only way outside of just a retrial of this case for the real truth to come to the surface, because of all the things that they've done to try to somehow pollute and pervert the evidence, influence those that have testified. They tampered with everything, which makes it difficult to even, you know what I mean? It's like, other than bending the law, and that's what it appears to be, as if they did, because nothing seemed to quite fit. Like they're literally making the glove fit, right? And so a lot of us are seeing that. And so, yes, again, depending on whose side you're on, but the truth of the matter is that if somebody had a side before going into Fresno ISD, is it Fresno or Frisco? Frisco ISD. Based on everybody's testimony, they left out of there saying these twins were the aggressors. They jumped him. Everyone that went in there saw and said that. Everyone that came and shared their testimony and shared their side of the story and what they've actually seen with their own eyes have the same report. And again, there are more questions than answers, and the family needs answers. If this other family has answers, but yet they're trying to somehow frame him, because again, they've lost their star. They lost the star of their family. They lost their favorite. So, you know, through the pain of that, we're just going to put it on him, because in their mind, he's the one that started it, which the story isn't kind of adding up that Karmelo's the aggressor in any of this. And there doesn't even seem to be a motive from at least Karmelo's end that would even have any malicious intent on harming anybody. He doesn't have any priors. Seems to be an upstanding citizen. So it's like, yeah, it's very unfortunate. I think that maybe they were hoping that, because it would just make it easier to put it on him and to blame him. But yeah, they might have, I don't know. It's sad. It's unfortunate. The young man can't come back. So doing all of this, you're only causing more harm than good. And that's the saddest part of it all. You did all of this, and let's say everything, all the presumption, everything that we're saying, the hypotheticals, all the things. Let's say we're all right? For those that are believing the theory that we've looked at, we've discussed in lengths, let's say we're right. Going out of your way to frame an innocent young man, it is not going to bring your son back. Now, I understand wanting to protect the other son if he had a part, which he did have a part in it, but maybe he wasn't the one that accidentally took his life. Maybe there was another in the midst of it all. And maybe there's still guilt because, again, he may have pushed the other person that might have poked his brother. So he may have had a secondhand part in it, because remember, everybody under that canopy, everybody under that tent was going ham. And Karmelo just so happened to find an out because he was seated and because he was smaller than them and because of the agility and because he is an actual athlete. Let's be clear. And not to say these young men aren't, but being small can be an advantage, especially in track and field, especially in football. He was able to get out of that situation using his brain, of course, but also using, his frame and how small he is. And he was able to wiggle out of there while everybody was going crazy. He was able to get himself, even though he did get hit, because you can tell by his pictures that he did suffer. You know what I mean? Physically he was harmed. But again, he got out of there before it could have been taken to a whole nother level. So, yeah, we're praying that the truth prevails and that the truth is exposed. We know that the team, again, they cannot at this stage retry, not yet. But what they're doing is, trying to look through what was testified and what was, presented during trial to see if there, potentially could be an appeal. But again, we are praying for Karmelo's safety. And I just believe that, of course, they just want him harmed because they just want to hide the truth. But my prayer is that, again, his life be preserved, he be kept safe, he stays positive and optimistic. And we are praying that God gets him out of there and that the truth would prevail in this situation. That's what I'm hoping and praying. And their family, get up out of there. Get up out of there. There's no point of even remaining in that area because clearly you're not wanted. Based on how things have happened, how things were carried out, your life will be absolutely miserable. Just leave. Just go. There's plenty of other places that you can live in this country and have a good life. Period. And then try your best to heal. Because this is very, very traumatizing for everybody. Yep. My heart really, truly goes out to everybody. It's just horrible. But again, sin is a reproach to any people. It's not right to pin something on someone or to frame someone for something that they did not do. I'm sorry. There's no amount of pain that could ever justify that. Especially if he truly did not harm their son in the way that they claim that he did. Then again, if it was an accident, if it was just a situationship, if something happened as a result of, again, the mess that they were bringing, the trouble they were bringing to him, then again, that's where the consequence is. And then maybe you need to rethink how you should approach life. That maybe this aggression thing is not working for you. Going and bullying people is not working for you because you just never know how life would treat you. You never, because you're going to eventually reap what you sow. And that is the truth. So we have more questions. This is after the verdict, the Metcalf and the Karmelo Anthony case. Though Karmelo is having to serve time, we're hoping that some truth comes out and that the team that has been formed, that they become successful at either getting a retrial or, again, getting that appeal approved. So that is what our hopes and prayers, and that the truth will continue to come out and or people will continue to come forth so that the truth would prevail. All right. So I'm signing off. I know this ended up being much longer than what I anticipated it was going to be. My bad. But because I remember listening to some of it, but I wanted to reserve some of it for this live so that, it won't be, I was listening like right along with y'all, learning right along with y'all. Even though I seen bits and pieces of it, I did not see it in all in its totality. But I just thought it was something that maybe y'all, more information that we can have a conversation about. All right. So grace and peace to everybody. God bless. And I guess I'll be talking to y'all soon. All right. Y'all take care. All righty. Bye-bye.